Yo, what's going on, guys? So, for those of you who might not be aware, I'm currently, going through my whole binge watching of the Boruto anime, and I've been really behind on the anime, and I am currently at the Mitsuki retrieval arc, and not sure if that's what it's officially called, but I'm at the part where Boruto's going into the Ryuchi cave, and he goes through all these trials and tribulations in order to meet the sage of that cave. And one of the things I found really interesting is the fact that they asked, well, you're not here to learn his powers, and that kind of made me go, oh, this is the same cave that Kabuto went to. That means Kabuto had to go through all of this in order to learn Sage Mode. And the next question that kind of popped in my head is, are they trying to foreshadow the fact that Boruto's already passed through these trials and tribulations? Is Boruto eventually going to come back here and learn Sage Mode? And that's something I think that we do need to discuss at this point. And simply because of the fact that on one hand, I do think that it could be something that Kodachi, who, for those of you who don't know, Kodachi is the writer for the Boruto manga, not the illustrator, the writer. So what they're doing is similar to what they do in comic books, where you have someone who does the actual story and someone who does the artwork. And he's also the lead writer and the lead person over creative personnel when it comes to the Boruto anime. So essentially he's got control over both stories. So if there's anything that's added to the anime that is in the manga, it's something that Kodachi approves of, and it's something that Kishimoto signs off on because Kishimoto's the editor. But the thing is the way that Kodachi likes to write, he doesn't necessarily introduce stuff that he isn't going to come back to. Like, the way that he likes to foreshadow is very in your face. It's not subtle at all. It's not something like what you see with Eiichiro Oda or even with Kishimoto in the Naruto series, where something would kind of be brought up and then he would just gradually build towards it over a few hundred chapters, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, this is what Kishimoto was getting at. Kodachi doesn't write in that manner. And if you read the novelization for Boruto the movie, which Kodachi wrote, or if you watch the Boruto movie closely, which Kodachi was the co-writer for, or you read the Gar novel that Kodachi wrote back in 2015, which was part of that Naruto New Era project. If you look at how Kodachi does things, I really feel as if Boruto going back to that cave is going to be something that's going to be touched on at a future point. Now, I do see the other side of the spectrum on this. I do see how people could say, well, that's just symbolism, because Boruto's whole thing in the very beginning of the story is, well, this isn't the story of a boy who wanted to become Hokage. That guy's story's over. This is my story. My story isn't anything like my father's. And to have him go through those trials and tribulations and say, yeah, I don't want to learn this Sage Mode stuff, that's totally in character for Boruto. And I could see that just being something that's used to symbolically show that Boruto's path is going to be a lot different than Naruto's, a lot different than any other characters from the previous generation. And if that is what's going to happen, then I do think that that is a very brilliant piece of writing. But at the same time, I want to kind of address the other part where people say, well, Boruto should learn Sage Mode. I'm going to disagree with you. Like, I know a lot of people want Boruto to get some type of Sage Mode, whether that be like the Frog Sage Mode, that way he's more like Naruto, or he should get like the Snake Sage Mode. I don't think that either of those are a good idea. And the reason being is, first of all, just from a balance perspective, like Team 7 already has someone on their team who can use Sage Mode. Now, I know the anime is kind of playing around with the whole idea that Mitsuki probably can't use it again because of what Urashiki did, but at the same time, like, being able to harness nature energy, that's a skill. That's a skill set. So, I mean, it is something that he could potentially relearn, especially given the fact that in the Hidden Leaf Village, you've got the Kabuto Poppins over there, and Kabuto knows Sage Mode, so it's something that Mitsuki could learn again if he needed to. So I don't think that's the case. But if you just look at Team 7, like, giving Boruto Sage Mode on top of his Karma seal that already boosts his chakra and his strength and his physical attributes to an insane level. Naruto even was commenting on the increase in Boruto's power. So if you give him Sage Mode on top of that, like Boruto essentially breaks Team 7, because you have to look at it from this perspective. Mitsuki has Sage Mode, Boruto would have the Jogan and the Karma Seal and Sage Mode, and then Sarada would have the Sharingan, which would lead to her getting the Mangekyo Sharingan at some point. So when you look at that, Team 7 just be stupidly overpowered, and there wouldn't be any balance there. It's like, what threat could you introduce that they can't work out an issue for? Like, there'd be no conflict there. Now the other thing is I feel like Boruto shouldn't learn Sage Mode simply for the fact that I think that it's very brave what they're trying to do with the story, where they're going back to the whole thing of like, Boruto is not Naruto. The story that you're used to getting isn't going to be the story that you are actually going to get. I think that that's really brave, and I think that that's something that they should continue to further explore. And so having Boruto forsake that Sage Mode power and forsake all the knowledge that comes from learning about nature energy and everything, to have him forsake that, I think that that would be a very, very good plot device. And I think it opens up the character of Boruto to a whole different world of possibilities. I think that that's something that they should place a further emphasis on, whether it be Boruto watching Naruto use Sage Mode during, say, their training or something like that. Say Boruto pushes Naruto to actually use Sage Mode when Boruto gets older, and instead of Boruto wanting to learn it, he just turns it down. I think that that'd be really good, and I think seeing Naruto's reaction to it would be absolutely priceless, because he could be like, look, like, your grandfather knows this, I know this is something I want to teach you, and Boruto basically says to hell with tradition. That's in character for Boruto Uzumaki. He's very in character with that, and I think some of that comes down to the fact that what they're trying to do is they're trying to capture Boruto Uzumaki as being the typical Generation Z members. So for those of you who don't know, like, Generation Z would be like people born like 1996, 97 onward, so they wouldn't actually be millennial. Millennials are more of my generation, but Gen Z, the whole narrative with Gen Z is like there's a sort of attention span, but most importantly, they don't care for as much about tradition so much as taking the best route possible for them. And I think that that's what they're doing with Boruto's character. And so to have Boruto forsake Sage Mode, even though it might arguably be a family tradition given Naruto and Minato could use it, I think that that'd be something really cool. And I think that the other thing is that will put Boruto further down the line of following in his master's footsteps while also walking his own path. That would be really interesting, because Sasuke doesn't have it, and Sasuke is more of a technical fighter, and yet Boruto, for all of his genius, is nowhere near the strategist that Sasuke is. I mean, Boruto as a character has Naruto's quirks, and yet he has the brilliance of Sasuke. I mean, that's something that could work for a character arc. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Boruto should learn Sage Mode, and why? Or do you fall more in the category like me, that Boruto not learning Sage Mode despite his father and grandfather knowing it, and his Naruto's godfather knowing Sage Mode as well? Do you think Boruto forsaking that is a good piece of writing? And how did you feel about what happened in the cave in the Mitsuki arc? Do you think that was something that was being set up, foreshadowing, or do you think that it's more like what I was saying, that it's Boruto breaking the tradition? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share, and once again, thank you so much for watching all the way until the end of the video, guys. Have an awesome day.